Or
Well, I
how do
think
you
it's
do that?
important to point out that a lot of this kind of bigger picture reality we're talking about is not just a maturation of Judeo Christian and Greek thinking in the Western world. And that's why I like to stress that my read on a lot of this is heavily dependent on the modern NDE community because near death experiences occur in all people. No matter what your prior belief systems, there are near death experiences that have occurred in all of them, and they have very common themes. People, especially the pseudo skeptics, falsely assume that an NDE simply perpetuates your religious beliefs and takes your religious beliefs and kind of magnifies, amplifies, and validates them. Most people I know who've had an NDE actually had their prior religious beliefs very seriously shocked, broken, fractured, reshuffled, and completely reworked. This is not the content of the NDE is something that is really stunning and is not dependent on your prior mindset. How your religious beliefs and all the other stuff that go into the makeup of a human being will contribute to how you tell the tale of an NDE. But the astonishing thing when you study NDEs closely is that they much more commonly radically kind of shift the religious views or beliefs of somebody. You can take a hardcore militant atheist who will come away from a near-death experience shocked at the reality of the spiritual vibrancy of this universe that's undeniable. So it's really waking up in all different ways. But the point I want to stress is when I use NDEs as kind of my go-to ground for the observations that help me to form up a new worldview, they point out pretty quickly that our religious beliefs are not what dominate the narrative that come out of that, but it's much more something that's inherent in the experience itself. And from my point of view, especially when I read these stories over millennia from all different continents, all different belief systems, when I start seeing all the similarities in them, and especially when I look at how near-death experiences that used to be very rare, because before the 1960s, most people who had a heart attack went on to die. After the 1960s, tens of millions of souls were able to go to the other side, then be resuscitated and brought back to this world. That is not an accident. That is a crucial part of this universe trying to wake us up by giving us this giant body of evidence that comes as common human experience, not something that only one prophet thousands of years ago wrote about, but something that many people who you can meet in your neighborhood today have experienced firsthand. That's what we're trying to get to some answers on. And that's where I think a worldview that's based on modern, common human experience and best interpretation of that and understanding of it and the lessons where it leads those people who experience it, that is what we're trying to wake this world up to. And that is an extremely valuable database of knowledge, all of those NDEs and similar spiritually transformative experiences. And that's the database we have to take to the next level of understanding. And in many ways, I think the knowledge that comes from that is something that is not just limited to various little kind of periods of human development in the last few thousand years, little isolated pockets of human thought. We're talking about trying to bring it all together into something that makes far more sense.